discussion will be around unlocking the new reality of digital era through supply chain innovation. So I was with Harsh Mariwala from Marico yesterday, and he said innovation at every stage is important, and it should seep from the up to the bottom of the ladder in any organization. And every innovation cannot one person cannot do the innovation alone. It is a collaborative process that innovations happen. So supply chain innovation is also something which we have seen happening over the past few years, and digital has actually accentuated that. So I would like to give this question to all the speakers over here. And I would like them to introduce themselves first and tell me how they are digitizing their supply chains.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Sandeep Kulkarni. I work with Tata CLiQ and handle the supply chain for Tata CLiQ. Tata CLiQ is an omni-channel retail platform where we deal into the categories such as luxury, beauty, lifestyle, and so forth. Before Tata CLiQ, I have worked at a couple of companies such as Reliance and Amazon, and started my career with the Indian Navy. So just to answer, Charu, among many other things, what does digitization help, in my opinion? One is to bridge the gap between the experience of an offline retail and the online. The biggest difference is then instant gratification. When you go to an offline store, you could touch the phone and see that whether it is how you're feeling it, right? In terms of online, there used to be a gestation period gap between placing an order and getting that item into your hand. What supply chain has done, if you all remember a few years back, when you used to order, the gestation period between the order and the delivery used to be 2 days, right? It has come to 1 day, and it has come to 10 minutes, and there are certain people who are trying to attempt it into 5 minutes as well, right? So this experience gap is being bridging. That is the one thing. Second thing is the inclusion, not only in terms of customers with the UPI, instant payments, right, or 4G, 5G, and the availability of cheaper smartphone. Many customers are getting onboarded with the online business mostly, and similar trend is for the sellers as well. So I believe this inclusion in terms of sellers, in terms of customers, and the bridging of the gap of experience between online and offline is something that digitization helped us. Thank you.
Thanks. Hi, my name is Tarun. I lead the product and engineering for Udaan for supply chain. I have been working in the e-commerce industry for close to 14 years, around 6 to 7 years in Udaan, and before that I was a very early member in Flipkart also. So I've seen across the stack of the various products that needs to be created if you want to build an e-commerce stack. So on the digitization piece, I think our entire go-to-market is that we are a technology company, and that is how we are going to create a difference. When we started Udaan, I think we saw that the entire B2B market was something which has been working in a certain way for like 10, 20, 30 years, and there has been very limited to actually no technology innovation which has happened in that industry. And we felt that with internet, mobile, and all these things coming together, there is a way that we can cause a disruption, and we can actually change the way how business is done or conducted in this space. And that's how we started. I think the entire, like I said, we are primarily a technology company, and that is how we think about anything. That is our starting point for thinking anything. And like he said, I think some of the key benefits that we were able to offer, for example, right now, to our retailers who are Kirana shop owners or lifestyle shop owners and things of that sort, we offer next day delivery service anywhere in the country, right? So within 24 hours of your ordering, you can get all the material. Price discovery is there. Nobody's holding the prices, so there is no information asymmetry available. So internet offers price discovery. You have the entire catalog available to you to order. So it's a very large catalog that is available to be ordered by these retailers. And along with that, there are these value-added services, like you can return instantly while you are taking the material, you can return it. So all of this is only possible when you have the technology backbone available to actually enable all of these kind of experiences for your customers.
Hi, I'm Ranjan Sharma. I am the CIO and the head of supply chain for Bestseller India. Bestseller is a parent company where we run a lot of brands, and we are a fashion brand house. We have brands like Jack and Jones, Veramora, Only Selected, and we have a couple of kids brands. Where we came from was primarily an offline retail, and for us, it was a very, very good notion of setting up a good store with a good experience, a good environment, have the right product, have the right kind of people around, and then you're good to do with it. And then came e-commerce, and whole experience or the whole expectation from a customer's perspective was changing big time. Their need was different. Their ask was changing every day. They needed commitments at all levels. They needed to be informed at all levels. And that's where technology started playing a role, because we were moving from an offline retail to becoming an omni-channel retailer. And that's where things started becoming much more different, because what we realized till then that we could not do because of so much of silos that were created within the organization, we had the potential of being able to leverage all of that. I will subsequently come back in the session in terms of what we did around solving some of those problems and how we solved that. But what potentially it did was it gave us bigger opportunity in terms of how we could reach out to the customer and leverage the inventory which was lying, which is the biggest cost from a retailer's perspective, across the value chain, and be able to service to a customer and keep him informed at all stages. That's where digital started playing a much, much bigger role.
Hi, I'm Dhiraj Jain. I lead sourcing and supply chain for Pharmeasy. Pharmeasy started with a very simple idea. Let's try deliver medicines online. One space which nobody has cracked till now. Why nobody has cracked, we had no clue, but we just wanted to solve this very simple problem. With this simple idea, we went live within 3 days, and we started getting 100 orders a day, and we realized this is something massive. From there, it's been about 8 years, and the expectation of the consumer over the years has completely changed. The new motto for any shopper today sitting at home is everything is convenient. I need whatever I want, wherever I want, and whenever I want. Now, solving this is up to us in terms of supply chain. How do we ensure we deliver the expectations of the consumer? Today, what is important is touching every consumer in every aspect possible, online, offline, creating stores, reaching their homes whenever they want, reaching faster than anyone else can, being more efficient with now the entire industry taking a shift from, let's say, just valuations to profitability. I think the focus is how can we reduce cost, but not let the experience go off, which is where it is on supply chain to ensure wherever we see efficiency, we go and crack it, and we get the savings. This is where supply chain becomes very important, and none of this is possible without getting digitization across each and every aspect of value chain.
Hello everyone, I'm JP Mishra. I'm from Newland AIDC. So Newland AIDC is one of the leading manufacturer and solution provider company in the world for barcode scanners, RFID, all this kind of technology. So I think we are, like a technology enabler for many supply chain companies, and most importantly, the trend which is currently going on, the digital trend. I divide the complete digital trend into 3 parts. One is the real-time reporting. Second most important thing is the data visualization. Okay, real-time data visualization. So it should be interactive. It should be two-way. And third is your intelligence, your AI-based intelligence. So these three things are real evolution happen in last 1 decade in supply chain. So I have seen the evolution completely because I am in this particular industry since last more than a decade. And I have seen the complete change in the technology from offline retail to online retail. So now I think everyone is getting into online retail, which is, in online retail, these 3 things are really, really important. So we are the company who, helps the organization to visualize everything. For example, with the help of barcode scanners or mobile computers or RFID, you can get all the data real time. And not only real-time data will help you to minimize your cost and plan a better inventory, but also it will increase the customer experience. For example, I was just discussing with someone before the session, and I told him, like, the supply chain trend has changed so much. Like, earlier we were expecting something in 3 days or 4 days delivery time. Now it has been minimized to 10 minutes. So that is the change happened. So I think we are lucky that we are a part of this entire change. Thank you.
Tarun, I would like to ask from you that, as everyone has said, that technology has actually helped digitization, and technology has actually helped the way supply chain used to work or operate. I would like to know how can the brands ensure innovation from sourcing to retailing till the time it reaches the product reaches the end consumer. How can brands ensure innovation at each step?
I think I can. Hello. Yeah. I think I can quote a few examples from Udaan itself. I think one of the biggest innovation, and that's not Udaan actually, one of the biggest innovation that happened because of digitization of supply chain or the advent of e-commerce was COD. COD was not a reality till Flipkart actually picked it up and solved that problem. And that journey has been sort of going on in terms of value-added services that supply chain is now able to offer. So very simple things. I did mention one of the innovations, like at, we offer next day delivery to anyone across the country for a lot of our categories. And that cannot happen unless you sort of figure out your entire supply chain. Where do you want to create warehouses? How big you want to create? How much inventory you want to hold? How are you able to run your last mile within the cost limits? What kind of an experience do you want to give to the consumer or the customer when the product is reaching? Do you want to give live updates? And so on and so forth. So I think, and on the sourcing side of things, again, we have innovated models in terms of like JIT procurement. So, we don't house or we don't hold inventory for every product that is sold on Udaan. Whereas we have tie-ups with some of our sourcing folks. They can be millers, they can be traders who are sitting in the APMC yards and all that. And we give them orders and we pick them up and we deliver within the 24 hours time limit that we have promised. So there is a lot of innovation that is yet to happen. The other pieces are, for example, our entire last mile routing is completely managed through our internal machine learning algorithms that actually allow us to ensure that, one, we use the right kind of vehicles for the kind of deliveries that we want to make. Our vehicles are utilized as much as possible. Can I get a double trip out of the same vehicle and hence save on my cost? Our last miles are being used not just for delivering goods, but we have our own, because we are a B2B, so we also have our own capital or a lending arm. So a lot of collections happens through this supply chain itself. So a lot of these innovations are only possible when you have a very, very strong supply chain or a technology backbone to enable it.
So Dhiraj, what's the difference between your company and how does it ensure innovation at each and every step of the supply chain?
So I think as an e-commerce company, I am not manufacturing any goods. I'm not a manufacturer. I'm not a retailer. I'm mainly, my value proposition is that if you are a retailer or if you are a customer, then I can deliver a superior experience to you vis-a-vis what is available to anybody else outside of my platform. And the only way that we can do that, is if we are able to use technology in creative ways.
I'll actually take a crack at it. So taking a step back, what does digitization essentially means? It's basically removing any analog or a manual process with the help of a data-driven digital solution. Now that is essentially what we're trying to do. To give you an example, when we first started shipping goods to the consumers, we used to pick every product from the rack and we used to check manually that medicine ordered versus medicine being delivered, is it the same? Over the years, this got replaced because we started putting barcodes on everything that we were doing, getting inside the warehouse. And now you just scan and you deliver it. Now delivering more than 2 million orders every month, we have not received even a single complaint where the product which is being delivered is different what is being ordered. And this helps make process faster, much more accurate, much more efficient, and you can reach them in very, very low cost. And this is exactly the innovation which we're trying to bring in the supply chain. At sourcing levels, I think this is a very vast problem that the entire pharma industry today faces, because digitization has not yet kicked in the pharma world the way it has touched different aspects of other ecosystems, which is where we are building our in-house solutions to understand the availability of products across different distributors, pharma companies inside a city. So today, if you, let's say, go and try to place an order at Pharmeasy, you are, let's say, asking for 4 products, and if I end up delivering 3 to you, you'll have to anyways go to a retail store and buy that one product, which is where the convenience factor has actually gone away. So the North Star metric that we track internally is DIFOT, which is delivery in full on time. And I'm exceptionally proud of my team today, because more than 95% of the orders that we deliver today actually meet the DIFOT metric, which is where we have highest retention rates of consumers on the platform. And it's been possible because we could bring in innovation through digitization in supply chain.
So if I may say that innovation is basically done to ensure transparency and efficiency in the supply chain, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So Sandeep, next question is to you, and I would like to know what sort of technologies can actually help the supply chain to maintain transparency and efficiency?
Right, I believe in today's age, there's any aspect of supply chain which is not touched by digitization or so-called data science, right? So for us, it starts right from the network planning. It bases data science, bases the data that we have, even how many warehouses to be open, where all cities these warehouses needs to be open, what size these warehouses needs to be open, vis-a-vis the cost and the productivity metric that we want to achieve. Next is where to keep the inventory. Keeping the right inventory at right place and at right time also ensures that you can offer a faster promises to the customers, right? And again, going forward to that, when it comes to the last mile delivery, assigning a right carrier partner to an right kind of shipment also makes lots of sense, because some of the carriers are very good when it comes to the local city operations. Some of the carriers, because of their fleet of aircraft or the asset that they have built up, they are very good connecting the 2 different cities, right? So combination of these 2 products or these 2 kind of carriers is also important to ensure that your last mile makes sense to you cost-wise, and also it ensures that a great customer experience is provided. And on the return side, also profiling customers into different profiles, basis their buying behavior, basis their returns behavior, and ensuring that the right kind of customer get the right kind of customer experience when it comes to the return. So I believe end-to-end, right, starting from the procurement to the entire life cycle of an shipment till the time it is either delivered to the customer or it is being returned back to the company. Every single place, the digitization and the data science has played a great part.
So Ranjan, are you also following the same thing, or is there something different that your brand is doing?
Yeah, so I think from fashion space, if you start looking at it, where was the biggest money that we were putting? We were putting the biggest money on the product. That's the hero. That's the one which actually gets sold. That's what the customers come to you for. And we started putting technology and solving for one of the first problems in terms of the biggest money or the time that you were spending was in terms of spotting a trend, identifying a trend, getting enough informations, being able to design the right product and figure out, is this product going to sell for you? If it is sold for some other brands, or if it is doing well for someone else, not necessarily is it going to do well for you, because your customers could be different. Your market segment could be different. What sells in Europe might not necessarily sell here. So being able to pick up the right trends, right product categories, being able to localize them for the Indian market was the first problem to solve, and reducing that time lag to be able to do all of this, because trend is a very, very short-term thing. And if you look at in fashion, the whole sourcing used to erstwhile start, all orders would be placed almost 6 months ahead. Imagine we are talking of fast fashion, which is where we are placing orders 6 months ahead, and you're going to get that product after that, and then you're going to sell for next 3 months or 2 months. That's not fast fashion. So which means that you have to come much, much more closer to the time when you want to sell it. And if you have to reduce that entire value chain, you have to start from the point of inception of the product, identifying where are you going to get, what material is available, where can you get the right fabric from, where can you get the right trims for, where can you manufacture it so that you get it on time, being able to identify that, putting technology there, and then being able to innovate, bringing predictive capabilities to be able to say, if you've identified a product which is looking good, how is it going to sell? Is it going to sell well? From a designer's perspective, whatever they design the best product, but not necessarily everything is going to sell. Which means that you need to identify from those bunch of products that they would have designed in terms of saying what is going to sell in your ecosystem, into your markets. And India is a complex market. The whole country, actually, the kind of color palettes that people use, the color palettes in North could be very different from the color palettes in South. You need to identify to that level in terms of saying what is the color palette you're going to use. Beyond that, being able to digitize or get the information in terms of how much you need to produce. What is the right price to produce this and what is the right price to sell it? Being able to close this entire loop itself was a mammoth of an exercise where we brought in a lot of technologies to be able to do it, brought in a lot of AI/ML models to be able to solve a lot of those problems, to identify spot trends, be able to help them to be able to understand what is going to sell, in what quantity should they buy. And then the next problem was solving in terms of how quickly could you get it into your distribution centers or your stores and be able to sell it out and make it available. Then the next problem came in was you always had two different worlds. One was the online world, the other was an offline world. Inventory was sitting in two different silos, which means there was a different behavior of the same inventory for the same product in an online world and a different behavior in an offline world. How could you bring that seamless experience from a consumer's point of view? Because if you had to deliver the right product to the right customer at the right time and with the right kind of bottom lines that you want to desire, you had to break those silos and unify the entire experience from a consumer's point of view. Because from the consumer's point of view, whether they're buying online, they're buying on a WhatsApp commerce, they're buying on a social commerce, it doesn't matter, or they're going to the store. For them, it's the brand that stands out. They are shopping for the brand. They are shopping with the brand. And that's the experience that they wanted across. So when you made that commitment to that customer when he was browsing through and when he was through his discovery journey in terms of how quickly can you deliver, and the war is about how quickly can you deliver, though at times I find it difficult to digest why do you need a fashion product in maybe a couple of hours, but then yes, people do ask for it. People are ready to pay for it as well if you need it in an hour or so. But I think that's where the world is moving. And that's where you will have to make that commitment in terms of when the customer is actually going through his discovery journey in any of those channels, making the same product available in a seamless fashion to him and be able to give him that same experience across his journey, because the customer could have started somewhere else in his discovery journey and could have ended somewhere else buying that product. How do you bridge all of that gap and be able to still show him the same product at the same price, sell him at and deliver that same experience? That's where the whole of this digital technology is coming together and bridging the gaps across these channels and these systems have actually brought in a lot of differentiation.
So Ranjan, I would like to add to it that digital technology you're talking about. One hot topic which is trending these days is ChatGPT. So how do you think it is going to transform the supply chain industry?
Very early days for me. I'm also trying to figure out how is it going to help, but then it solves a lot of problems. But I'm not an expert on ChatGPT. I'm so sorry about that, but I'm still trying to figure out how does it help me. A couple of my team members have been trying to figure out how does it helps us. But then it definitely is a lot more informative. It brings in a lot of key pointers for you to take decisions, because that's what you need today. You need right information to be able to take decisions, and getting those right informations which you can rely upon. Maybe ChatGPT is doing something right, I guess, but I'm not the expert to answer on that.
JP, Ranjan touched upon the consumer behavior is different when it comes to online and offline. How can brands build a connected supply chain, in your opinion?
So connected, due to the omni-channel, with the introduction of omni-channel system in retail industry, in all the industry, different kind of industry, I think now as we know, the customer behavior is entirely changed. If here also in cities, the customer behavior is different. If you go to rural, the customer behavior is different. But for a brand, I think they, most of the brand are focusing to all different kind of customer, tier 1 cities, tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities. So I think those brands need to optimize their, like supply chain in such a way that, supply chain is majorly, in my concept, there is two divided into two parts. One is the warehousing or your inventory system, and second one is your transportation, or you can, logistic part. So logistic and warehousing, these are the two major part of any supply chain system for any brands. So for optimizing the, and both the things are really important. And as Rajat has rightly mentioned, the availability is really important for any kind of customer, whether it's a rural customer or it is a urban customer. And I think Pharmeasy success point is that also, the same thing, because of the availability. If I'll order, then, it will again, the whole purpose will gone if the product is not available. So to get all the visibility of, how to optimize your data, how to get a real-time data, to optimize your buying process or optimize your inventory process. So I think the technology is really, really important. And with this help of the technology, you are not only optimizing your warehouse or your inventory management, you are creating a good experience for the customer. Because it is, all the things are relevant and it is end-to-end connected for any brand. So for brand building, I think, if it is a big brand or small brand, it doesn't matter. With the introduction of lot of D2C company, now these things are, like evolving very, very fast. Though today, which is a small brand, they may be with very good service, very good customer interaction, they are converting into the bigger brand, right? So, but the most important part is your supply chain management. So I think technology evolution is helping on that.
So Dhiraj, I want to know from you that as Ranjan touched upon the predictive analysis a bit, I want to know from you how predictive analysis and remote monitoring can make the supply chain management easier.
See, to me, predictive analytics is the heart and brain of any supply chain engine. You have to get that right for you to scale and become a market leader in whatever ecosystem you're dealing with. To give you an example, at Pharmeasy, we have a catalog, and even Tarun mentioned, the catalog is more than 2 lakh SKUs, but you can't store all of that in your warehouses all the time. That is very expensive, and that is not efficient, which is where getting the entire predictive analytics, getting it right, and see, it's an infinite journey. You will never get it 100% right, but you have to focus on improving it month on month, building new algorithms, building new forecasting engines, making use of all the data which is available with you to just get it right. How many medicines would you need the next month? And if you get that right, I think the entire engine just works perfectly well. So this, to me, is one area where every company, every industry has to keep focusing, has to keep working. And it's better to kind of work together and get those insights to make everybody efficient, which eventually helps reduce cost, and you can just pass on that benefit to the consumer in the last mile.
Tarun, would you like to add to it?
Yeah, sure. I think I agree to most of what was said. I think for us, see, the thing is, if you are unable to, if there is a gap between what you planned for and what actually happened, the cost just escalates like anything, especially when you are running at a country scale, right? These minuscule costs which you will see running in paisas, like manpower cost is 50 paisa, 30 paisa, that will just escalates and it will go beyond into crores of rupees in no time. You will not even know when that happened, right? So it's very, very important that we keep investing in predictive analytics or essentially data sciences. So predictive analytics is a branch of data science only. So, and the idea is that you want to close the gap between what you predicted will happen and what actually happened, right? And that's one of the keys for any large-scale operation to make sure that, to manage their cost, to provide the reliability, to not go out of stock, and yet not have too much of inventory that your warehouses are choking. and some of the essential items are not able to get in stock and so on and so forth. So that is one very, very big area for investment for us also. Now, as far as the real-time monitoring is concerned, I think that is, so after planning comes your, the actual execution, and that's when you have these control towers set up. Now, the main job of the control tower is to keep monitoring. Now, at a country scale, again, you cannot have like a 200 people team sitting and monitoring every move. It is actually, again, the systems who are monitoring things for you, and when things are going out of, a certain prescribed limit, will they raise some sort of an alert to some human? Or it can be a prescribed policy that, okay, if this happens, then do this. So in any leg of the supply chain, if let's say there is a delay happening, the downstreams legs can be immediately informed about that, and so that they can take mitigated action so that they don't breach the promise that we have made to the customer, right? So either through a route change, or maybe, instead of sending it through road, you send it by air, or anything of that sort. Or even if there is no way that you can rescue the situation, you can at least make sure that the customer is informed, duly, and the customer is also given a choice. Do you still want it, or do I I can stop it and I can send it back and save on my own cost also. So that's where the real-time monitoring actually plays a part. And again, that is something that is only possible if you have the entire the life cycle or the journey of the product being recorded in the system, all decisions being recorded in the system.
So you said customer delight. The customer delight is actually the key why the supply chain management, there are innovations in the supply chain management.
Everything is for the customer only. Yes.
So for customers, there's one more thing which has been recently introduced. Not recently, I would say pandemic actually forced dark stores to come into existence. So Sandeep, I would love to know from you, how do you think dark stores can help in managing the inventory in a better way?
Yeah, so question for me, right? Yeah. So dark store, there are pros and cons of having a dark store, right? Dark store is something, it can take your inventory as near as possible to the customer, and when inventory is near, you can offer faster promises to the customers, your logistic cost for that leg reduces, your damage reduces, pilferage reduces, your lifetime of an inventory, which inventory has been not utilized by a customer in return, can be brought back and can be light up on your platform again for selling. So these are the few of the advantages of dark store, but again, it comes on how much inventory can you replicate, right? And what kind of inventory you can keep at what right place. So these are the pros and cons of a dark store. It depends on the organization in which business they are. Probably if I'm operating a luxury heavy organization, probably dark store are not the right solution for me, because that is not what my customers would want. But if I'm definitely running a grocery or a medical, then that is I think that is something that you cannot live without, right? So it depends on organization, the customer base, and the life cycle of an organization, whether you want to adopt to the dark store design of your supply chain, or you can stay away from that.
Just want to add here. So dark stores, basically, adaptability is, again, it is kind of a relevant to, or kind of a directly proportionate to the customer behavior. I mean, today, if I'll ask, sitting over here, all the audience, like if it is grocery or be it is, garment, earlier, the expectation of anyone here would be some hours. For example, grocery, I think 10 minutes delivery is, I think now everyone is okay with that. For me also, if I'm ordering something, I expect, if some other application is doing 25 minutes, another one application is saying 10 minutes, then I'm ordering from that particular site, right? So that is what's happening with the customer behavior. In the garment and also this kind of evolution not happen, but if tomorrow, I mean, I'm asking everyone, if you'll get a choice, choice to get one, kind of a garment, you are ordering some kind of dress or some kind of shirt, if you're getting it in 4 hours and somebody is giving me in 4 days, which one you will prefer? No, just 4 hours, right? So that is the trend where everything, has been changed. If somebody have dark stores, they can not only get the, product in right time, in right place, but they can give a speedy delivery, a fast delivery. So now everything has been fast, right?
But Ranjan, you guys have done a wonderful innovation when it comes to dark stores. You have turned your stores into dark stores, right?
So I think when you talk of dark stores, what is the first thing you need to solve? You try to solve a problem of fulfillment. A faster fulfillment is what you try to solve. And if you look at, we already had 300 plus stores available in the country across the nooks and corners of the cities, the major cities. Why would we want to create a dark store if we already had those so many fulfillment centers? We only needed to change the behavior, which was a big piece actually to solve for. Any store manager, if you go and ask him to spare an inventory, a piece of product, which he's not going to sell from his store to the customer who has walked into his store, and maybe some other customer has ordered in some other store or some from an e-commerce or some digital channel. Ask him to spare that piece of inventory, and that's the biggest challenge that he will have, because he sees that the biggest opportunity for him to sell is that particular product. And when you look at the overall chain, we will have, for any of our brands, we have normally about 1,000 to 1,100 options in a year, in a season. There will be few options throughout a season, which will be the hero out of all of them, because they will be selling across all channels. They will be the fastest moving products. Not all options or not all products will be the fastest moving, right? Imagine that store guy's challenge where he sees that he has the biggest opportunity to be able to sell that product, and still he has to part with that product, that inventory, because someone else, somewhere else in some channel has actually taken an order for it. But we found it difficult, but we were able to solve it. Tried solving it, started solving this almost 4.5 years, 5 years back. Today we are in a space where we deliver almost 22% of our store sales actually come from omni-channel fulfillment. That's a massive number. Once we've reached to a saturation level, I think that's when the dark stores will start coming and playing a role. But from a fashion perspective, we tried doing some mathematics, and at the end of the day, we did not find, at least for us, we did not find a right solve in terms of setting up a dark store, especially because where are these orders coming from? I'll just give you an example. We looked at all the data, we started crunching a lot of data and tried to understand where should we set up a dark store in Mumbai. The best location that came up was Andheri. Now we figure out we already had a store in Linking Road, we had a store in Goregaon, we had a store in our city, Ghatkopar, we had a store in Kurla for all the brands. Then why do we need a dark store? We rather create skill sets within these stores to be able to fulfill those orders, because Andheri was sitting right in the center for all of them. All of these stores could have fulfilled those orders, which means that it was also upskilling people within the stores, creating the right space. And one of the big challenge again still that exists within the stores is the backstore space, because this is where you fulfill the orders. This is where you do the pick, pack, and ready for ship, and this is where you hand over the order to the logistic partner. Imagine a guy on the shop floor who is dealing with a customer, and there's an order which has come onto the app, which he needs to fulfill. And if he forgets to see that order, or if he's too busy dealing with that customer, he will miss that order, because that order is quickly going to hop to another store if he's not fulfilled that order. And he's incentivized to fulfill that order. So he's getting money out of fulfilling that order. That's where the whole trick starts playing a game. And I think it's all about how every organization is adapting to this. Different organizations will have different ways of solving this problem. But I think the first problem to solve from a fulfillment perspective was, how can you create your stores as your micro-fulfillment centers? The moment you start exhausting that opportunity is when you should start getting into creating dark stores. But as long as it's viable, as long as there's an ROI, because at the end of the day, there has to be an ROI for everything. You can't just be investing without a return on investment. Maybe you might still have a longish period of time for a return on investment, but it has to pay back.
So I can say upskilling the employees and making the best use of each and every square foot of the store is also an innovation that way.
Yeah, absolutely. You couldn't do with that same skill set, because it needed more of a supply chain skill set to be able to pick, pack, and keep it ready for ship and hand it over to the logistic partner. The store guys were not used to doing that. It was a mental barrier. You had to break that thought process in terms of saying, hey, you're not here just to sell to a customer who has walked into your store, give him the right experience, but also give the same experience to an order which has come from some other channel, which you need to fulfill. Because today, you might be fulfilling for some other store or for some other channel. Tomorrow, you might also have a customer who walks into you, and size and color is a bigger issue in fashion retail. You might not have that particular size in that particular color in your store. And you still would want to retain that customer because there are 2 more products he will leave if you don't sell him that 3rd product. That's where these mindset barriers actually start breaking in. And that's where you start penetrating in that thought process in terms of saying, you need to accept the orders in 30 minutes. You need to fulfill that order in another 1 hour. Keep it ready for the logistic guy to pick up so that we are able to deliver maybe the same day or the next day, depending on whatever the cutoff time is. But upskilling was a big ask, and that has to be done. So 2 major challenges. One is the upskilling. The second was, what is in it for me to deliver that order or ship that order? Solving that question was another big piece that one had to solve.
So much innovation has already taken place, but there is never an opportunity to seize the innovations, seize and stop innovating going ahead. So I would love to know quickly from all of you, one innovation that you would love to see happening in the future in the supply chain industry.
Right. So I believe one of the innovation that I'll be closely monitoring is something called an assetless supply chain. Nowadays, it is pretty much possible that you don't own anything. You don't own your inventory, you don't own your warehouse, last mile, nothing. Everything can be outsourced, but still you could run a very successful business, right? So this will help bring down the barrier of entry, and lot many sellers, lot many customers could enter into this online store. And I believe that is something trend that I'll be very interested in watching.
For me, I think, technology has always been something that changes the paradigm. So before cars, there were horse carriages, and from there, technology came and it completely shifted the paradigm. And technology has that power to shift the paradigm. I personally believe in supply chain. If we talk about any paradigm shifting piece, it's drone delivery. It has been tried by many, and it's not working out. India is very, very keen on it. I think the government is also very supportive of it. We did one experiment recently around drone delivery, especially in the pharma space. So that's one thing that I am very, very hopeful about. If we can crack that, that will open up the country even more in terms of the reach and the speed with which you can deliver and what all you can deliver. I think that'll change the paradigm.
I think one of the things that Sandeep said was assetless supply chain, and I think I would say inventoryless supply chain is the next problem that I would want to solve. So I think one of the big opportunities that one has been seen or talking about a lot, and we've seen this for a while now, is 3D printing. How can the technology help you to be able to manufacture a product, create a product when the customer has actually ordered, so that your supply chain is agile, it's sustainable, and it is also helping the overall ecosystem in terms of being able to have the right product at the right time when you need it. So you're not left with so many inventory leftovers lying in your DCs and you dumping, from a fashion perspective, dumping so much of land into landfill.
Dhiraj?
So maybe thinking from a consumer's standpoint, some of the things which are necessary to happen now is quick com may be available for every product in the country across every pin code. I should have an option to maybe get that product in 10 minutes, in 10 hours, or maybe in 10 days as an option that I need. And maybe some of the delight factors which we are working on, and maybe is very important, is maybe delivering things like cold storage products with absolute adherence to the temperature, which is visible to the consumer at all standpoints. So some of those delight factors is, I think, supply chain should solve over the next decade.
JP?
As a solution provider to supply chain industry, actually, we also closely study and the problems. Actually, the main problem is again in everything, in all kind of supply chain, is the increasing the efficiency of the manpower. Actually, so that is the most important thing. Actually, so as a solution provider, I think the innovation we are doing in our products is we are introducing a lot of wearable products, wearable scanners or RFID products, which is really increasing the efficiency of the workers. So that, they are directly meant to go, right? So if the worker is efficient, then the supply chain will be smooth.
So I guess being a consumer, me being a consumer and other the industry experts are also actually waiting for all these innovations to take place. We are short of time, so we won't be taking any questions right now. You can meet them whenever they come down the stage. I would like to thank all of the panelists for a wonderful session and hope you gain good insights from this session. Thank you so much.